Well, Jose Suarez got the start, and surprise, surprise, it didn't go well. We'll discuss a disappointing 9-4 defeat for the Halos on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That's right, folks. As always, after every single Angel game, this is the Locked On Angels Postcast coming at you live from the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. Back after the quick hiatus yesterday because of the off day, and right back to bad Angels baseball. The Angels fall 9-4 to the Arizona Diamondbacks, opening up the road trip after a nice 4-2 homestand, after a thrilling walk-off home run from Logan O'Hoppe. But today, nothing but pain and sadness, thanks in large part due to Jose Suarez and company. Just a really bad pitching performance overall. Hello, everybody. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. As always, I'm Gavin Carlson, the host of the Postcast, 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the Los Angeles area, covering UCLA sports with the Daily Bruin. Actually wrapping that up because I graduate from UCLA in now 4 days. On Friday, I will be graduating from UCLA. But enough about me, and let's talk about our Angels. Let's jump in real quick. Shout out to today's sponsor. It is the great people at Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code in all lowercase LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Shout out as always to anybody in here, most specifically the most loyal member, maybe Anaheim Angel. He says, "Hello, fellow postcasters." Is that what we're going to call you guys from now on, postcasters? Certainly my role is that I am a postcast host, but maybe you are the postcasters if you are in here. But he says, "Hello, fellow postcasters." All I can say is Suarez is who he is. Time to move on. And that perfectly brings me to obviously the first segment. On tonight's show, we will talk about plenty. We will talk about more than just Jose Suarez. We'll talk about a pretty underwhelming bullpen performance overall, and what I'm calling a bullpen game. I know Suarez technically was the starter, but he's technically been a starter in his career, and therefore maybe he's technically in the rotation. I'm calling it a bullpen game. I don't know if the plan was for Suarez to pitch 5 innings if he wasn't terrible, but either way, he pitched 2 2/3. The rest of the bullpen was poor as well. So we'll talk about Suarez. We'll talk about the entire bullpen, and then I'm going to rant a little bit about some more Angel foolishness. Jo Adell stealing third with 2 outs, down 3. I know in the grand scheme of things, the Angels probably weren't coming back, but that really annoyed me. So we'll get to that later in the show. But with all that being said, we start with Jose Suarez. And I don't know about you. I probably do know about you and your mindset when the decision was made for Jose Suarez to start this game. I remember on the show 2 days ago, after that thrilling Logan O'Hoppe walk-off home run, I believe it was Sega Boy W, so if he pops in here later, great. But I believe it was him who said, "Any idea why Jose Suarez is starting?" And the main answer is Reed Detmers sent down to AAA. You only have 4 true starters. Chase Silseth still on the 60-day IL. And so naturally, you need a 5th starter. Originally, the plan was to be able to manage the schedule with just the 4. Obviously, that plan fell out the window, and it's disappointing because the starters have been really great, those 4, I'd say. Obviously, Tyler Anderson's been great. Griffin Canning been great. Soriano been solid. Even Sandoval's last couple home starts, very solid. And so it would be great if it was just those 4. This team, we already talked about the historically bad offensive stretch, and it continued, or maybe it's a new stretch starting, because right back to not scoring 5 or more runs, right back to scoring 4 or less in this one. But I'm sure you were like me and like most Angel fans when Jose Suarez was penciled in as the starter for this one. It was not going to be good. I think most people knew it coming in. And ironically, this is a D-backs team that is relatively hot. Wins in 6 of their last 9 coming into this one, I believe. Now 7 of their last 10. But it's not like the Diamondbacks are world beaters. A lot of guys who were great last year that are trying to pick things up this year. Of course, Ketel Marte, fantastic, but we haven't seen the normal Corbin Carroll. And this season so far, just hitting 213. Even Eugenio Suarez hitting 197 now after this one. The Diamondbacks have not been their normal selves. They're still trying to work back into a pretty mid NL West other than the Dodgers. And honestly, I was expecting a high-scoring game because not only was Suarez coming in with an awful ERA and just a awful track record as a starting pitcher, but so was Jordan Montgomery, the free agent signing for the Diamondbacks, just like a 6.5 ERA coming into this one. I think the Angels are a lot better against lefties given all the stellar righties they have on their team in the lineup right now. I say stellar, but stellar for Angel standards. Just Taylor Ward, Stefanik, Pilar, Ohapi, even Shanuel is probably better against lefties, and obviously Jo Adell has been way better against lefties. But I was expecting a high-scoring game, and we certainly got that from the Diamondbacks because Mr. Suarez did not waste much time having a bad outing. Obviously, if you watch the game, you know that he did not play well. It started in the second inning, but I think from pitch one, there was not much confidence. I believe, if I remember correctly, he walked the first batter of the game. Yeah, he walked Ketel Marte to start the game. So it didn't take long for you to be reminded that this guy is not a good starter. Just to read the final stat line in case I did not already, because I don't believe I did. 2 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, just 3 strikeouts, and he did give up a long ball. And real quick, because I don't know if we need to relive this game too much, to be honest, I want to talk more about him coming in to this game and what it means now with this game, with a guy like Anaheim Angel in the comment section saying it's time to move on. Jose Suarez, in case you forget what he's done in his career. Obviously, 2019, his first season in the big leagues, his first season with the Angels, 7.11 ERA as a starter, 15 games he started, 4 he did not. Obviously, the ERA very bad, 7.11. Then 2020, only starts 2 games, 0 for 2, 38.57 ERA. Gave up 10 earned runs in 2 starts. And just how many innings? 2 1/3. 2 1/3, gave up 10 runs. So obviously, awful. 2021, starts 14 games, has a complete game somehow, and this is easily his best season of his career. Starts 14 games, pitches in 23 total, has a 3.75 ERA, pitching 98 1/3 innings, 41 earned runs, 45 runs total in 98 innings. 2022, okay, I guess, 3.96 ERA, 20 games started, 22 games overall, gives up 48 runs earned in 109 innings. And then that brought us to last year, 2023. About as bad as you can be other than that 38 ERA. Starts 7 games, pitches an 11 overall, 8.29 ERA, goes 1-3, gives up 31 earned runs, 46 hits in just 33 innings. Not good. And that brings us to 2024 now. And a lot of yapping from me reading these stats, but I want to emphasize how bad this guy has been consistently. And is it time to move on? He's technically 1-0, but a 7.08, or now he's 1-1, but coming into this one was 1-0 with a 7.08 ERA, 1 start tonight. Before that, 16 appearances, 34 innings, giving up 27 earned runs. And the main thing is, has never really, in my opinion at least, looked like a starting pitcher. I know that's what he came in as, and it's ironic that despite him being a starting pitcher throughout his career, I don't know if I'm rare or not like most of you in saying that Jose Suarez has never felt like a starting pitcher. All right. And obviously in the bullpen now, a guy that you can bring in to eat up innings. Good for him, I guess. But it hasn't been much better out of the bullpen, obviously. An ERA over 7. Every time he comes in, he's throwing meatballs. It's like, I think it's time to just accept the fact that this guy, they're not going to take him out of the bullpen, because anytime you have a converted starter, you need one converted starter in the bullpen. You just converted a bullpen guy in Soriano, into a starter now. So you need to have a longer arm in the bullpen, and that's what Jose Suarez is. But last thing I'll say about him overall, before we even get to the game, because I'm kind of not rambling, but I want to break down him and his career and why I don't think it's a surprise that he didn't do well in this game. And that's why I'm not dwelling much on this game. But I think it needs to be, really drilled in everyone's heads how bad he's been and why he should never start a game for the Angels ever again. Pitching run value on Baseball Savant, 9th percentile. Fastball run value, 3rd percentile. Off-speed run value, 21st percentile. The only thing that's good, breaking run value, 78th percentile. If he throws a breaking pitch, it's not the end of the world. But really bad on just about everything. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about him. Just a really disappointing game for him because he never really looked like he was in a groove, at least in my opinion. Like I said, you start the game with the walk, even though you get bailed out with the double play, then the next guy is immediately getting a base hit, right? You don't even give up runs in the first, but then we quickly jump to the second. Leadoff triple to Randall Grichuk. By the way, the only exciting thing in this game, by the way, other than a few runs for the Angels, was how many guys on the Diamondbacks were about to get a cycle. I mean, I'll just go to the box score real quick just so I remember. 15 hits for the Diamondbacks, but like, I think Grichuk was a single away from the cycle, ironically, and instead he got walked in his chance to do that. Corbin Carroll, I think, was the home run away from the cycle. It was like, this is getting ridiculous. We're talking about the cycle more than anything else. 15 hits. 15 hits. And it certainly wasn't just Suarez and his awful outing. Real quick, we'll talk about it. Bottom of the second, Randall Grichuk with a lead-off triple, strikes out Suarez, who's been really bad, and then Corbin Carroll gets a triple to center field. Kevin Pillar, whatever. We won't even get into that. Then he hits Blaze Alexander, and this is the one thing. If you want to be a starting pitcher, Jose Suarez, and I don't know what he's felt. Obviously, he lost the battle in spring training to be one this year, but if you want to be a starting pitcher, it's about resilience. Right? If you're a bullpen guy and you go in and you give up 2 triples in 3 at-bats, then you're probably on the brink of getting taken out anyways. But when you're a starter, you can't give up 2 triples in 3 at-bats and then hit the next guy. Like that's what makes you a non-starter, right? It's the non-starter about being a starter. Look at that. But he hits Blaze Alexander, and then Perdomo, singles with runners on the corners, absolutely rips it, 103.4 exit velo, sharp line drive. There were a lot of sharp line drives in this one, a lot of deep fly balls. I mean, I think the Diamondbacks probably left like 7 more runs on the table, by the way, hitting balls to the warning track with the bases loaded, hitting balls to right center field, left center field, Taylor Ward at the wall once or twice. Just like so many runs out. It could have been a lot worse to leave it at that. But like I said, just Suarez lacking the resilience, gives up 2 runs in the second, and then same thing, gives up 2 more in the third. That's more about resilience. Even when the Angels showed some life on offense, getting some runs in the second, how do you respond? You respond by giving up a leadoff double on a ball absolutely ripped, 105.8, throwing a 8th pitch slider right down the middle, crushed. You get 2 guys out, and then what do? You give up a bomb, 2-run shot. Again, the amount, I will go through maybe the exit velos in this one later. The amount of balls hit 103, 104, 105 off the bat. The best, statistic, in my opinion, to really see how a pitcher is doing is not the amount of hits they gave up. It's not the amount of runs they gave up. It's how hard the ball is getting hit off the bat. And everything, 103, 104, 105. And so after the Angels tied the game at 2, Suarez responds by giving up a double, getting 2 outs, and then on 3 and 2, throwing a fastball right there for Randall Grichuk, who crushed the 105.2 off the bat, 410 feet. That was all from Suarez, just those, that was all. But those 4 runs in 2 2/3, he was able to get that double play from Ketel Marte, and then that was all she wrote for him after the bottom of the third, the 2-run shot, that was all she wrote for Suarez because he was immediately out of the game. We're going to take our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm just bummed, man. I'm bummed because it's one thing to come into a game knowing that you're going up against it with a guy like Suarez leading off your, what I call a bullpen game, but for not only him to struggle, for a lot of the relief, the bullpen to struggle, and specifically, how much I like watching Ben Joyce pitch, for him to have another blow-up outing really just sucked the life out of me. So we're going to take our first quick break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, and when we come back, I will talk about the rest of the bullpen struggles because, boy, were there plenty. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, and we'll be right back. Today's show is brought to you by Ibotta. This spring and summer, flowers won't be the only thing you're growing. When you use Ibotta, you can watch your cash back grow with every purchase you make. Now, if you don't know already, Ibotta, Ibotta, is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation, bingo, 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 no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Now, other apps, they give you points, but they don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying the app by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. One more time, that's Ibotta, Ibotta, in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. The show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, look, baseball season is well underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the Diamond to your Prize Picks lineups all season long. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks lineup today. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on Prize Picks too. Shout out to an app for actually caring about baseball. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 demon squares, which by the way are extra hard stats, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of baseball's early season. Now, if you don't know, one more time, what a demon square is, basically, if someone is projected to get maybe 1 hit, a demon square would be saying they're going to have 2 hits or 3 hits, something like that, harder than the projection, right? So if you're able to cash in on a bunch of those, you can win up to 100 times your money. So now, what should you do? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Well, Prize Picks might be easy, but I'll tell you what isn't. Watching the Angels play when the bullpen is asked to do what it was asked to do tonight, and boy, it struggled. Once again, Jose Suarez gets the start due to a lot of shuffling in the rotation. I'm calling it a bullpen game because he is in the Angels bullpen this year, and because he only pitched 2 2/3. So that's basically just an opener, 2 2/3. That's what you get when you start a reliever anyways. But it wasn't just Jose Suarez in the Angels' very disappointing 9-4 defeat to open up the series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. It was Carson Fulmer as well, because, and it's no secret that he has not been great either. The ERA is now 3.34 in 16 appearances, which honestly for Angels relievers isn't even that bad. But he gave an outing that I thought was also kind of aggravating. Just many times felt like opportunities to get out of jams, wasn't able to do it. He had that really, really bad wild pitch that gave up a run, and he ironically got out of the jam after that in the 5th inning, I believe. Let me pull that up. The bases were loaded and a great chance to get out of it. Just so you know, I'm talking about bottom of the 5th, a 2-out, by the way. This is all with 2 outs. A 2-out double from Randall Grichuk, who once again was cycle hunting all game. Then you hit Suarez, who can't hit anything right now. So you decide to hit him on a sinker well inside. He wasn't happy about it. And then, once again, the reason Jose Suarez can't be a starter, the reason a lot of Angels pitchers aren't even good relievers, is there's just no ability to bounce back from mistakes. And in this one, after you hit Suarez by that pitch, after you've already given up a double, what can you do? You can, throw some strikes. You got nothing to lose. You're the Los Angeles Angels. You're 25-41. You got nothing to lose. Just throw some strikes. But no. What does he do? He walks Corbin Carroll, who once again has barely hit over 200 this year, and not even close walks. First pitch, called strike on what isn't even a strike, and then 4 balls nowhere near the zone, to be honest. He had one that was on the outside corner, not called a strike. But other than that, nothing even close. How on 3-1 are you throwing a changeup in the dirt that isn't even making Corbin Carroll think about it? Just makes no sense. So then you walk Corbin Carroll, but in the process, you absolutely spike one. Just spike one, that changeup. And not in the process, that pitch. You spike the changeup and allow Grichuk to score from third. Not only that, Suarez gets to third, and then Corbin Carroll gets all the way to second on the walk. It's just like so frustrating. And then, I'm all over the place right now. I'm just so mad. It wasn't on the Corbin Carroll changeup. It was on the slider to Alexander on the next at bat. Corbin Carroll's changeup was nowhere near, and that's why I'm thinking it's the same thing, because it was nowhere near. But that's what walked Corbin Carroll, like I previously said. The wild pitch that then scores with the bases loaded is in the Blaze Alexander at bat. Hope that makes sense. Just trying to relive this game is just making me really angry, by the way. But anyways, bases loaded after the Corbin Carroll walk, after the changeup that was nowhere near the zone. Then we get the Blaze Alexander at bat, bases loaded. The Diamondbacks broadcast was saying, oh, maybe they should bring in Jock Peterson. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. If I'm the Diamondbacks, I'm fine with Alexander having this at bat. And surely enough, he didn't even have to do anything. First pitch sinker up and in, and then the pitch I was finally getting mixed up with, the slider, down and away, nowhere near the zone. Logan O'Hoppe tries to make a scoop. He did a good job even getting a glove on it, but unfortunately, that pops the ball in the air. And this is where we have Grichuk score from third, Suarez gets to third from second, Corbin Carroll gets to second from first. It all makes sense now. And at that point, I'm pissed, because just throw some strikes, man. You just walked the guy after just hitting a guy. Throw some strikes. Ironically, he then gets out of the inning by throwing a sinker right down the middle on the very next pitch and gets a ground out. But honestly, a lucky ground out. You throw a sinker right down the middle after throwing the worst pitch I've ever seen. But that just adds to the point of, please, just throw a strike. Just throw a strike. You got nothing to lose. You're the Los Angeles Angels. Look what happens when you do. Ground ball, inning over. Instead of hitting Suarez, walking Carroll, and then throwing a ball nowhere near the zone. Nick King in here says no Tuesday W. Absolutely not, and not even close. I'm honestly, you can tell. Just anytime I'm like forgetting which bad pitch is the one that blew the inning up, that's when you know I am furious, and I'm sure you are as well. But that's what I get also for being so invested in this team. It wasn't just Carson Fulmer. We'll quickly just talk about Ben Joyce before we take our last break. Simber came in and had a kind of crazy outing, walked a guy, gave up 2 hits. Somehow he escapes with no earned runs. But Ben Joyce did not escape at all. Just 2/3 of an inning, gives up 3 hits, a walk, and 3 earned runs. He obviously had a strikeout, was not put in the easiest situation, actually came in and got out of a jam in the bottom of the 6th, where I believe the bases were loaded again. Ben Joyce comes in and gets Suarez to ground out. That's right, with the bases loaded. 2-2 pitch, comes in, and I mean, you kind of just he blindly threw fastballs. I actually like when he throws the first pitch slider, if he's able to locate it. I thought it was a great first pitch, even though he missed the zone, even though Suarez didn't swing. You throw a first pitch slider, get Suarez in his head that, okay, this slider can come out. And then ironically, he then rips in 4 fastballs, most of them on the outside corner, and he's able to get Suarez to ground out. But Suarez does not blink, doesn't even think about swinging at pitches 2, 3, and 4 fastballs right on the outside corner, because you start with a first pitch slider. That's something I like from Ben Joyce. And so I see that first pitch slider right where you want it to be, fastballs that aren't, very appetizing for Suarez because you're fearing the fastball, and you get out of the bases loaded jam with the ground out. And I'm thinking, Ben Joyce, baby, at the very least, even though I'm probably thinking this game is kind of over, at least Ben Joyce is making it seem like we got a chance. But no. At this point, the score was 6-3, and Ben Joyce comes back out for the 7th inning, and that's where it goes all wrong. Because when you throw fastballs blindly, it can work for you and it cannot work for you. And it started with a really cheap hit, a fastball, 102. I mean, everything with him is just you throw 102 somewhere in the zone and see what happens. This one happens to be chopped by Corbin Carroll right down the line. Rengifo runs over it but can't even make a throw. Wasn't hit very well. Then Jock Peterson Ben Joyce gets his only strikeout on Jock Peterson, but then a walk for Perdomo on a bunt. Once again, can't really do anything about that. But then once again, all I want to see, how can you respond to adversity? Do you have the resilience? For Ben Joyce, pretty simple. Just keep throwing the fastball in the zone with runners on base. Hopefully you get a weak ground ball. Hopefully you get a double play. But no, first and second, he throws the fastball, can't locate 3 of the first 4 pitches, falls behind 3-1, and then he throws 2 more fastballs, gets a strike on what wasn't a good pitch Marte swings at, but then ball 4. So then he walks Marte, and then he gives up the back-breaking single that allows Corbin Carroll to score. It's now 7-3, and then they take him out. So Ben Joyce, only gives up that 1 run technically, but set up a really bad situation for Hunter Strickland. And boy, talk about Hunter Strickland falling off a cliff. 3 straight bad outings now. This one, it only took 2 pitches for a sinker that wasn't really a bad pitch to be a ground ball down the left field line and 2-run score. And just like that, it's 9-3, and this one felt over. We're going to take our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Just gave you a recap of all the bad pitching. Jose Suarez, bad pitching in tonight's game, but also in his whole career. And then I gave you the breakdown of the bullpen and all the struggles with them. After we take this last break here, I will talk about one more thing. I only have a couple minutes, and I'm going to spend it ranting because I know it was one play, but boy, did that Jo Adell get caught stealing really anger me with 2 outs, down by 3, getting caught stolen at third base. We'll talk about that and why I am furious after we take our last break on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Look, summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. Like, is there really a better time in sports? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge football fan, and so other than the heart of the NFL season, it doesn't really get much better than summertime, baseball, NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet on all of that on FanDuel. FanDuel is my favorite. I know you can't bet in California, but whenever I'm not in California, whenever I'm somewhere I can, I use FanDuel, like I always say. The best interface, the best lines, and the best promos. Like right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Plenty of Diamondbacks did that tonight. But you can visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. One more time here, this is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, and the Angels are bad at baseball in 2024. 9-4 the final. Angels fall to 25-41 after losing the series opener in Arizona against the Diamondbacks after a 4-2 road trip that had a lot of positivity, had a sweep, the first sweep in a while, ended with the first walk-off in a while. But we start right back with more Angels pain in a 9-4 defeat. Second Boy W is in here, and he says Ron Washington was happy with Suarez because he was competing up until he threw 60 pitches. He ran out of gas. Silence from me. Silence from me. What do you think? Tell me, Sega Boy, what do you think of that comment? I'm sure you're putting that in there because you think that's ridiculous. I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe the expectations were, sometimes when expectations are low, obviously it doesn't take much to exceed them. But sometimes when expectations are so low, you just find ways to rip on somebody. And maybe that's what happened tonight. Maybe I'm expecting little from him. And so even if it's maybe not the worst start ever, I treat it like a terrible start. Nick King adding, not to mention Shanuel grounding out to end the inning for the 10,000th time this season with runners in scoring position. Yeah, we'll get to that. To end this one, because we'll go down the lineup and ironically you see 11 hits and you think it's a really encouraging performance, but a couple fluky hits and a couple head scratching moments, and none more frustrating than from Jo Adell, in my opinion. We'll take you to the 7th inning, because in the 7th inning you just had the blow up, this was before the blow up with Ben Joyce. And it's so interesting to see how everything changes, right? When foolishness happens. You have the 6th inning where Ben Joyce comes in, gets out of a bases loaded jam. You go to the top of the 7th, the game is still close. It's 6-3 at this point. The Angels are just going to try to find any way, right, to score a couple runs, make the game interesting. And Jo Adell, who I was getting ready during the game it's the breakdown I gave of Jose Suarez's career, I was going to give a similar breakdown of Jo Adell because it has just fallen off a cliff. 2 more strikeouts to start this one, and I was getting ready to rip into him. Now, ironically, the average actually goes up, I believe, because he went I think the final stat line for him will be 2 for 4. Let me check real quick. Yeah, 2 for 4. So the average will actually go up to 197. But he had 2 strikeouts in his first 2 at-bats, and the single he had to lead off the 7th was kind of a fluke. He only hit it 77 miles an hour off the bat, ground ball up the middle, actually hits the second base bag, and probably, gives him a hit he shouldn't have deserved. But anyway, Jo Adell can't hit anything, gets on base, miracle. Then Angels get unlucky. Zach Neto lines out up the middle, probably would have been a base hit, hit the ball really, really well, 106.9 off the bat, first pitch sinker that was 99 miles an hour. Zach Neto, really unlucky, just part of baseball. Then Stefanik gets a strikeout, and then with 2 outs, and Jo Adell on second base, Luis Rengifo up. Probably the best guy in terms of contact hitter, veteran, getting an RBI. It might happen. It's 6-3 at this point. A base hit from Rengifo probably scores a speedy Jo Adell, and then it's 6-4, right? And it's a game. It's a game. Then the tying run comes up to bat in the 7th inning, despite a Jose Suarez start, despite the Angels just being a bad baseball team. All we want from this team is to be in positions to have a chance to win, or at the very least to have a chance to give young guys chances to experience big moments. Look what happened 2 days ago. You give your star catcher, Logan O'Hoppe, a young star, a chance by having a 2-run 8th inning to tie the game, to force a 9th, where you can really try to win the game and not come back. And look what happens. The young guy, Logan O'Hoppe, comes through with the first walk-off of the year for the team on a home run. Give your guys opportunities, specifically the young guys, to experience big moments and try to do something with them. Instead here, Jo Adell on second base with 2 outs. I don't know how many times I've said it, probably only a few. I played baseball growing up. I was not amazing, all right? I was not ever going to play in college. I played 3 sports. I played basketball, baseball, and soccer. I'm 5'5", by the way, about as short as it gets. So, ironically, basketball was the one I stuck with the most. Soccer probably would have been the best for me at 5'5". Baseball I played up until basically right before high school, and then I stopped, okay? I'm not trying to say I'm some elite player at all. Of course not. But you're taught this in 5th grade. Don't make the last out at third base. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I don't care if it's on a double trying to stretch it to a triple. I don't care if it's, I don't even know. But the most obvious example is, why are you stealing third base with 2 outs when you are fast enough to score on any ground ball base hit, on any soft liner base hit? Jo Adell is fast enough to score. Clearly he thinks he's fast enough because he thinks he's fast enough to steal. And this better not. This better be, I don't know what I even want. Do I want this to be a decision from the dugout telling him to do this? Or do I want this to be Jo Adell himself doing this? I don't know what makes me more mad. If this is Jo Adell doing this on his own, it is a benchable offense because it's not the first time he's done it. And it makes no sense. If it's the dugout, infuriating because it makes no sense. But I think I probably more want it to be the dugout because I just don't want more reasons for Jo Adell to be a disappointment. Makes no sense. The Diamondbacks TV broadcast saying, you can't do that. Yeah, no, duh, you can't do that. Made no sense. Adell gets thrown out, not even close, trying to steal third. Rengifo was up 2-0 on that pitch, by the way. Sure, it was a strike. Sure, it would have been 2-1. But it's 2-1. You got a runner on second, and you got one of your best contact hitters, one of the best contact hitters in all baseball, by the way. So just get a base hit and make it a close game. But instead, Adell gets caught trying to steal third for no reason. And it just killed it. It just killed it. And so ironically, when I'm talking about Ben Joyce blowing up in the 7th, when I'm talking about Hunter Strickland blowing up in the 7th, this is before I even bring up the fact that the reason it's still a 3-run game and not a 2-run game, maybe tied or something like that, is because of boneheaded stuff like this. And that's why I'm so frustrated. Jo Adell, you just can't do that. You can't do that. And the Angels' offense was not great overall. It wasn't terrible. Honestly, 4 runs seems like you can pencil it in the same way you can pencil in Mickey Moniak not being great, although ironically 1 for 1 today. But the same way I joke around about penciling strikeouts for Jo Adell, penciling, outs for Mickey Moniak before the game even starts, you can with a very light pencil that can be erased easily. You can pencil in the Angels scoring like 4 runs, because it happens like every game. It's 3 runs, it's 4 runs. Finally, 2 days ago, the first time they scored more than 4 runs since 3 weeks ago. We already talked about that so many times. You can pencil in 4 runs at this point, even with 11 hits. And it's because the situational hitting is awful, and it's because the situational base running, like stealing third for no reason, is awful. We'll quickly go through the box score in case you don't know. Michael Stefanik, one of the lone bright spots, 2 for 5 in the leadoff spot. I have not liked him there, to be honest. I think it's a lot of pressure to put on the young guy, but he came through today, 2 for 5. He's hitting 273 in a few games. Ironically, already one of the best batting averages on the team. Renhefo just 1 for 5. Taylor Ward, 2 for 2 with a walk. He hit the home run. I didn't even talk about it. He hit the 2-run shot, or I think this was the solo shot. Never mind. He hit the home run though, and it's good to see him. He infuriates me with all sorts of errors and fielding mistakes and bad base running himself, despite being a veteran. But please get that bat heating up. 253, not great. 783 OPS is okay. I want you gone. I want to trade you. I want to get something for you. Kevin Pillar, 1 for 4. I want to get something for you. Willie Calhoun, he's slowly struggling more and more. He goes 0 for 3 with a walk. Logan O'Hoppe, 1 for 3, also had the most brutal shot to the male section you'll ever see, and he had to leave this one early. I hope he's okay. Matt Tice, 1 for 1 in substitution. Nolan Shanuel, slowly becoming Jo Adell part 2 of a young guy that just can't hit anything right now. 0 for 4. He's hitting 207. And Jo Adell somehow gets a 2 for 4 stat line, and to actually bring the average up significantly to 197. But let's be honest, one of those hits was a fluke, and he canceled it out anyway with the most boneheaded steal attempt I've ever seen. And then finally, Zach Neto, 0 for 4 as well. He's now hitting just 242. But he did have a hardliner that probably would have been a base hit if he wasn't unlucky. Nonetheless, just 4 runs despite 11 hits, because foolish base running, horrible situational hitting, and just a bad team overall, which, surprise, surprise, we all know at this point. We'll leave with one more comment from Sega Boy W. He says, wish we could simulate these last 20 games all the way to the All-Star break. This team is full of highs, but mostly lows. Yeah, I mean, for multiple reasons. Obviously, don't know the timeline on Mike Trout, but any, team like this would love to see him back, of course. Want to see the guy play baseball. But yeah, it feels like this team obviously has highs and lows, obviously has young guys that can have highs like walk-off home runs, but lows like stealing third base for no reason. And it's almost like you said, if it was MLB The Show, you simulate those 20 games, maybe in those simulations, a couple guys get hot, and then you make some decisions at the trade deadline. But yeah, this team, we know they're not playing for anything. But like I said, the goal is 2 things. I'll just say it every single time. Older guys play well so we can trade you. Younger guys, play well or just give us some hope for your future. And the third is, in combination with those 2, keep games as close as possible so you're gaining valuable in-game experience. That's all I ask. And in this one, because of bad pitching and because of really bad situational hitting and running, it wasn't close at the end. The 3-run 7th inning, ultimately taking a 6-3 game, making it 9-3, and really putting this one out of reach. Final score, Diamondbacks 9, our Angels 4. The Angels fall to 25-41. Ironically, we've moved up to 4th in the AL West because of that 4-2 homestand. But nonetheless, we don't really care about that. Like I just said, we know what the goals are for this team. But shout out to everybody in here as always, Anaheim Angel, Nick King, Sega Boy W, and anyone else who is in here as well. Please, please, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you have not already so you can be notified every single time I go live. And if you're listening to this after the fact, either on YouTube or wherever you get your Locked On Angels podcast feed, make sure you leave a great rating as well. That's all for today, folks. 9-4 the final. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go study for finals. I've got one more final before I graduate from college. But hopefully the Angels can study a little bit tonight and learn how to play better baseball tomorrow. I'm Gavin Carlson, signing off. Halo Nation, I'll be back tomorrow. Go Angels, and I'll see you tomorrow. So long.